Hello, everybody. We would say this is your weekly damage check gaming wreckage, but not a lot of news today. Not a lot of news this week. At the end of the year, I guess they don't really have a whole lot, huh?
Everyone's off. Everyone's enjoying their holidays and stuff, so not a ton of news. I'm honestly shocked we got as much news as we have been getting the past 2 weeks, because typically those are pretty dead too.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're just going to kind of chat about video games, just kind of about next year. This is going to be a much more laid back stream, I feel like. Which is fine with me.
I mean, fine with me too, because these past few weeks have just been just hellfire, if to say the least. I mean, we've had bad news. We've had some really good news, but we've had some bad news too, and it's been wild. So, especially after all these Game Awards drama and everything, I think it's good to just get right into what are we excited for next year. If you want to start us off with the with some of these January titles, because I know I'm super into it already.
Sure, yeah. So January, we got a couple of good titles coming out. January's slowly been becoming kind of a nice, like especially end of January, nice kind of lead in into the next year, especially with February being just like way too many games coming out in February. But this year in January, the one I'm most excited for, and I believe you are as well, is that good old Prince of Persia.
Yes, absolutely.
What's even the Lost Crown? I was about to say like the Lost Kingdom or something, but yeah, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Very excited. I mean, all the previews that have come out have been saying that it's fantastic. I mean, the trailers look fantastic. I'm really excited for it. The only thing I'm hoping for is don't do the Ubisoft thing where you make a game like 3 times the length it needs to be. I'm hoping this is a nice, sweet 10 to 20 hour maximum game. And it doesn't overstay its welcome by being like 50 hours like a typical Ubisoft game.
Right. Yeah, I got it pulled up on the screen here just so they can see some of the gameplay. And man, dude, I can't express to you how hype I am for this. It looks gorgeous. The lighting is incredible. The animations are incredible. The boss fights look amazing. The main character, for God's sake, I'm obsessed with his design. I love his half pulled over mohawk. Thank you, Tendo. Appreciate that. As they know, my birthday was yesterday.
That's right. I should say it on air. Happy birthday, my friend. I
Thank
love you. You're amazing.
I had a wonderful year with you, and I do appreciate you. But this game, dude, I am obsessed. Like, look how gorgeous this looks.
It looks so good. It looks so good. And as I'm watching this, I'm like getting more excited again. I'm just like, damn, they really are going hard with this. I really love this kind of redesign of the attitude of Prince of Persia.
Absolutely.
Because it's kind of been flippy floppy over the past few iterations, but I kind of like that they're going back to like almost more true to form, but also like just this really cool like attitude era Prince of Persia, the two souls or souls within or whatever, where he had like a dark side that kept on coming out. Like I feel like it's kind of harkening back to that.
Yes.
And I feel like this is also a space that like not a lot of larger developers are taking advantage of, which is that like 2D Metroidvania style space.
2.5D really maybe a little bit too.
Yeah, 2.5D. Yeah. That's a good call.
I mean, it doesn't seem like too much 2.5D, but it does seem like we get a different perspective on some of these boss fights. Like I like Mario Wonder kind of took advantage of that space too, where they did. It was only like at the end, and I wish it was a little bit more. But Mario Wonder had this boss fight for just a split second where you get that background fight, and I love that. So, dude, I'm all in. This game is this is my jam. I'm not a big fan of like the Metroidvania style where you're kind of walking around and fighting. That's why I haven't really picked up Convergence yet, the League of Legends Echo story, but. Because it does seem like a lot of fighting, and this does too, but dude, it seems like this also applies a lot of the old school Prince of Persia platforming, which I love.
Traversal.
So if you're mixing the traversal platforming with the boss fights, I'm all in. Now, if it's a little bit more Hollow Knight-y, Ori of the Blind Forest, where you're kind of fighting as you go, not really my style, but the way this is looking, I'm like, I mean, look at all these platforming sections. Like, man, I'm all in.
That's cool. Yeah,
I'm all in.
This is definitely like, as soon as this comes out, I'm dropping whatever I'm playing on my backlog and I'm playing this thing. Actually,
100%. Hopefully by here, we're taking next week off. HP is taking next week off for streaming, so we'll see how it turns out with Sea of Stars. 'Cause I do want to finish Sea of Stars on stream before we jump into another game, but I might have to pause Sea of Stars and come right to this because I'm super into it.
Yeah,
but
I need to beat Sea of Stars as well. That's high up on my list.
And I want to thank you again for buying that for me because
yeah, of course, my friend.
Man, we started it Thursday and. Man, I had a blast. It is so fun. I barely even got to really play because like the first hour or so is kind of story building, world building, and storytelling. And so you don't really get a whole lot of gameplay. But from what I did play, it seems complex but intuitive. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. I think that there's a lot of complexity to it, but it gives you the tools to handle that complexity in very stylistic, intuitive ways.
The moment that I used her moon meringue and it bounces back and forth like so Ocarina of Time fight, like that is amazing. The Ganon fight, that I was like, wait a minute, these are all timed. This is so fun. I'm super in. It like takes what I love about Paper Mario and because like the early Final Fantasy series don't have that stuff. But they had it in Mario RPG, which is an early Square Enix game. And then they go into the play this one more time while we're talking about it. But then they go into the like Paper Mario series did the same thing, and I love that they do it, and they kind of do it with stride. Like I love this. Like it's not just I timed one attack. It's like it's like some are holding, some are timed, some are bouncing back and forth, and I can't wait to see the many more skills I'm sure I'm going to get at my disposal that give me more innovative feel. So.
Yeah, you get more skills, you get more people. People have like different specialities and stuff. Like it's a lot of fun. To me, it truly is the sequel to Chrono Trigger that we never got. Chrono Cross doesn't count. Don't come at me.
So, would you agree too? Have you ever seen the anime Black Clover?
I have not, but I am familiar with it.
So it seems like the story is very similar to Black Clover, which I'm really enjoying.
Interesting. Okay, I might have to check out Black Clover then because I
think you will like Black Clover's story.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying the story, and that you talked about that first hour of world building and everything. Isn't that first hour isn't that world building done so well though?
It's charming.
I feel like, yeah, it's really charming, really pulls you into the world. Then being like, yeah, you're going to learn fighting, you're going to learn this. And also, you got to learn to sew because you've got to make your own little sash.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. Because
so cool.
That's kind of where I was saying it's akin to Black Clover, because Black Clover, they kind of like have to earn their magic as they grow older. And if in the case of the main character, he doesn't really get magic, but he does get a tome, or I can't remember what they call the tomes, but yeah. So when he gets his tome, that's when he can like use magic, but he can't himself use magic. But it's the same concept. These guys have to weave and sew their own sashes or their own a grimoire. Thank you, Tiny. So they have to weave and sew his own scarf and weave his magic into it. Like I feel like it takes this like etherealness, this. I mean, the lack of a better word, this magic of magic, like this unknown of magic, and you literally weave the stitches of fate into an actual physical object, and it combos that really well. And it's subtle, but you're like, wow, they have the scarf on them. It's tangible. Yeah. I'm in. I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't beat you over the head with it, but I feel like it adds so many awesome subtle touches throughout the storytelling, and then it always comes back around and follows up on those subtle touches, which makes it just fantastic to play through. I'm so excited to keep on playing it and beating it.
Same. I can't wait to talk more about it with you.
Yeah, especially once you beat it, we'll have maybe a little spoiler cast or some little spoiler section where we can talk about the story and everything. But I do want to mention too, I should have mentioned this at the beginning before we got into the year's games, but I did actually beat a game this week finally.
Okay.
And after like the past 3 weeks being like, I'm going to beat a game, guys, and then just getting pulled away to all these other different games. I ended up finally beating Song of Nunu, a League of Legends story.
There we go. Okay, I'm going to pull that game up too.
So Song of Nunu is it's like a adventure kind of platformer. It's a 3D game. I thought it was a ton of fun. I thought that they did a fantastic job with the relationship between Nunu and Willump. Willump being the Yeti, Nunu being the little boy. In case you're not familiar with League lore. I will say, I said this, I believe, when I first started playing it, where I was like, the fighting is kind of whatever, and it kind of stays that way. Like it's not the most amazing fighting ever, but it's serviceable. I think the main charm comes from like doing puzzles and just hanging out with Willump and everything. And the story also ends up being pretty good, I would say. Even if you're like not a League of Legends person, I feel like it presents the story extremely well and makes you kind of invested in what is happening, regardless of your relationship to League of Legends. This would be the first League of Legends game that I think I would just recommend, even if you're not a fan of League of Legends.
Okay.
All the other ones I feel like I'd have to like say like, are you a fan of League? If you are, get it. If not, probably skip it. This is the first one I'm like, you know what? I think anybody could jump into this and probably have a decent couple hours. It's a shorter game.
It looks fun.
I think it took me like 6 or 7 hours to beat the whole thing. And so very, very short. Oh yeah, you got the spell songer, which you like make songs with and everything. A lot of cool mechanics with that. And if you are a fan of League of Legends, oh man, this game is awesome.
Yeah,
because like you're gonna get tons of like essentially like cameos and everything. Like you can see Ornn right here. Braum was like earlier in the trailer. Braum.
We saw Lissandra as well.
Yeah, Lissandra's like the main.
This is Volibear.
Volibear. So yeah, you get a lot of cool cameos. Some of them definitely feel like, okay, you put this cameo in just because you wanted to have a cameo. Like Volibear, I think he literally shows up for almost no time at all, and it's just like, hey, look, I'm Volibear, rawr. And that's pretty much the extent of his contribution. But Braum and Lissandra are definitely big shout outs. The voice actors and just the story with them was fantastic. The relationship they have with Nunu is awesome. Mm-hmm. And even like the voice actor for Nunu, like he does play kind of an annoying little boy, but he does play it very well to where you're not really annoyed most of the time. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 times where you're like, all right, Nunu, shut the hell up. But overall, I think that he also did a fantastic job.
So just by looking at it, I mean, and it looks amazing. It looks like something that I could get down with for. I mean, I could probably. I mean, you said it's a couple hours. I could easily beat this and think that I had a good time. It just looks gorgeous. Is it Disney in a game? Does it feel like that? It looks like it. It looks charming, like Disney stuff.
It is very Disney, Pixar kind of stuff. Definitely, I think that's 100% a vibe they were going for. It's a story. It's kind of a bit of a like origin story for the two of them, but it's not like super origin story. It is a little bit past like when they meet and everything. So you kind of get in, and that relationship's already there. You don't have to worry about like the awkward hour or two where they're like, oh, do we like each other? Do we not like each other? Like, no, they're like BFFs from the jump.
Yeah, that's a bit tropey anyway. We've already explored that in every other story of Friends. So yeah. I don't mind that.
Yeah, I'm glad that they decided to just be like, nope, they're like the best friends forever right off the rip. Like, you don't have to worry about this awkward phase or anything like that. And yeah, I think that if I was to score this guy, which I score all the games that I finish, I would score this a 4 out of 5, which is a great for me. I think it was a fantastic. I think it was a great, like 7 hours. Like I said, 6 or 7 hours. Very few times that I was not having fun. It doesn't get up to that 5 because it doesn't really do anything like crazy new, I would say. Like there's nothing that I'm like, oh man, that was amazing. That's something I haven't really seen or hasn't been done that way before. But it just kind of executes on its core tenets pretty well. I would say if you're not a League of Legends fan, I could see this being closer to like a 3 out of 5. But because I do think the moments with Braum like really elevate the kind of like humor and stuff for me. But yeah, overall, I do recommend it. I will say, I do think it is a little pricey for what you get. I think base price is like $30 for about 7 hours. It's a little on the pricey side. I would maybe say wait for this guy to hit like $15-20 on a sale. But if you get that, I think it's worth about that $15-20 for it.
That's fair. I feel like a lot of those League of Legends games are a bit just like, I'm talking $5 overpriced, maybe $10 over. I don't, because I wouldn't say overpriced. I've never really played them, but I've played the Ruined King a little bit. It is what it is. It's very niche to be charging $40. I feel like. I don't think that they don't deserve it, but I also at the same time I'm like, maybe just understand what your product is, you know?
Yeah, and I wonder if it's just like, hey, we're League of Legends, so we're going to apply the League of Legends tax that's going to add $5 to $10 to every title.
Probably.
Or something. But yeah, all their games have been priced a little on the high end. And I almost, I can't really blame them because for people like me, I am a pretty big fan of the League of Legends IP. Not the game itself as much anymore, but I do love the story, the world, the characters.
Oh yeah, I'm all in on the IP.
Yeah, the IP is fantastic. I mean, look at Arcane and everything. So like I would pay $30 for this game. And maybe that's kind of what they plan on is, hey, we're going to get that first burst of the League of Legends nerds. We're going to come through and spend that $30.
The guys who aren't playing League anymore are going to be playing these games.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
I thought about picking up Convergence. I mean, it looks great. So
that is one I still need to pick up because I mean, Echo's like one of my favorite characters from the IP. So I definitely need to pick that up soon. So yeah, maybe they just plan on us being the ones to pay the price and being okay with it, and then they figure, okay, then we'll get all the other like non-League of Legends nerds. We'll get them when it hits like $20 or something like that. Because I imagine that they kind of look at these as like long-standing title, like, you know, they're not expecting sales to fall off tremendously for Song of Nudity. They probably expect it to kind of continuously sell as you bring in new fans and stuff.
Yeah, the more they pump out with Arcane, I mean, League of Legends will never die. So we got Arcane, we have the main IP, we have new other games coming out like the Fighter, like the Project L and stuff like that. So
Project L,
lots of different things coming out. So I think that they do, like you said, they're in the market for new fans, and I think that you watch Arcane and we get to the Freljord, you're gonna see Nunu and Willump, and then you're gonna see this game and be like, I know those characters, I might pick up this game. So yeah, you're 100%. Absolutely right. They're making the moves. I mean, Riot Forge are doing great.
We'll do an episode on it one day, but I'm telling you, man, I legitimately think that Riot is like in a league of their own right now as far as like how they're pushing their products and how they're kind of pushing their IP. Like they're positioning themselves extremely well for the next decade that a lot of these other studios need to do. Hint, hint, Bungie, get the fuck on it already.
Could not agree more.
Anyways, we get back to the game releases now. That was the one quick little tangent I wanted to do. Right. The only other major thing that I see in January that's coming out is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. The Like a Dragon series is like a part of the Yakuza series, and I know like pretty much every person I've ever known that plays a Yakuza game becomes obsessed with the franchise, and I really want to play them, but I'm also afraid to become obsessed with the franchise. But I mean, it looks really good. I mean, they quite literally, Yakuza games always do this where there's like the game and then they kind of like make a second game that they attach into it. Like in the previous one of this one, it was like a management sim game that was just kind of completely detached in a way. And the one they're adding to this is like an Animal Crossing game mode. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this series, to be honest.
You've never heard of the series? Oh man. I mean, I know of the Yakuza series and all that stuff, but I've never played any of them. I have the sequel, or no, the prior title for this one, Like a Dragon. I can't even remember the subtitle, but the first one, people know what I'm talking about, or at least people that are familiar with the series. But yeah, it's pretty much like a Japanese drama series. Like they're all gangsters, obviously because of the whole Yakuza thing. Yeah. And it's just really funny about it. Like it's a drama, but it's like that really cheesy like soap opera drama where like the most insane shit happens. I know like in a few of the games they literally have like musical numbers where they like sing and stuff about like their pain and what they're going through. It's a goofy ass series, I kid you not, man. Every person I ever talk to who plays these games becomes obsessed with the franchise. Not just the game, the franchise.
I don't think that this is a game for HP.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Man. Maybe I gotta stream this when I come back.
I mean, even if it weren't goofy, even if it were serious, just the way that it looks is just kind of not my vibe. I've played games like this. It feels like we're gonna bust out into like a side-scrolling tournament fighter, but with also beat 'em up sections, just based on the looks. Because I don't think this is a story trailer. This is not a gameplay trailer that I'm showing here.
Yeah, my understanding is this series, this spin-off, because Like a Dragon is a spin-off of the Yakuza series. My understanding is this is a turn-based battle game. But the original Yakuza series is like a 3D beat 'em up, just beat the hell out of people in Tokyo, essentially. But I don't know, man. Like, this is a series I really am interested in. I'm into that whole goofy drama stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to. Maybe I think I actually have the first game, so I may have to play that and come back and report. But I at some point though, I'll have to send it to you. You don't have to put it up right now, but I'll send it to you. The trailer for the Animal Crossing game mode, I'm like blown away by. I'm like, they legitimately are making Animal Crossing in this gangster drama game, and it's kind of insane.
So,
but yeah,
is this the only other so out of the stuff, is this the only other one you were talking about, or out of the list on January? Because I have one that I see and I didn't know they were doing.
Sure, yeah, hit me with it.
Bulletstorm VR. I loved that game.
That's true. You are the VR guy now. You have the MetaQuest 3.
I do. So, I can report back. I have not touched Asgard yet again, but I will. And we'll talk about it maybe next week if I can get some time, because I am taking. I mean, HP the channel is taking off a week, so I will have a little bit more time to actually dive in on some more VR stuff, specifically Asgard, so I can report back with that being the 10 out of 10 that it was for everywhere else. But Bulletstorm, man, I liked the original. So maybe if we can get a VR version of it, I mean, if any shooter is going to be a VR game, it's Bulletstorm. Have you played it?
Yeah, I played the original Bulletstorm, and actually, you're right. I think that actually will translate to VR probably fairly well, especially since it already kind of was like janky to an extent. So it going into VR, like that VR jank is just kind of be a part of the charm.
It's so
almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's so arcadey. So you're like, I mean, you're throwing people into the air. If anyone's not familiar with it, Bulletstorm is a game where it's imagine Gears of War, but at the utmost arcadey it could possibly be. It is so arcadey. You will shoot somebody with a shotgun and they'll get blasted backwards, but then you throw a scorpion hook and pull them back in and punch their face off. Like, it is so out there and so ludicrous. And VR, this game screams VR. It really does. And I can't wait to play this in VR. Hopefully they're not charging too much for it. But I'm in, because I loved Bulletstorm. I initially only bought it. Right. I initially only bought it for I'm pretty sure it was the either Gears of War or Halo beta. They like one of those, you had to buy this game in order to get early access to one of these multiplayer games that I used to play. And I ended up loving this game. So I'm in.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to see what you say about it, man. I'm just going to start coming to you for all my VR opinions. I'm just going to download them from you.
Well, one day
we'll about this VR thing.
Well, one day we'll be able to do this in person, and you'll be able to just come in and we'll be hanging out. So we'll have a day, maybe sometime this year or next year, where we physically get together and you can come and play the MetaQuest.
Hell yeah. Another thing that I will throw in from January, I don't know if I'm necessarily like super excited for it, but Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is going to be cool. They're adding that new kind of roguelike game mode. I don't think I'm going to rebuy the game for that. This is definitely something I'll probably look at maybe once it comes to PC later on down the line. But it is interesting how a lot of Sony's live serviceness has just put a roguelike game mode in our other games. That'll work. That'll keep the kids coming back. Right. And I mean, to be fair, God of War Valhalla has been fantastic. I still need to beat it, but
they didn't call that remastered. So. They're breaking our rule for it. I think that you can't say remastered or remake unless it's been 10 years, and it's been, I mean, a minimum of like 4 or 5. So
see, I do. This is actually a quick side tangent. I do wonder why, because they did a really smart thing that I thought at the beginning of the PlayStation 5 life cycle, where a lot of their games they were bringing over from like the remasters from the PlayStation 4 era, like bringing out the PlayStation 5 version, they called them director's cuts. And I thought that was really smart.
That is smart.
I thought that was super smart. They had like Death Stranding director's cut.
Yeah, because then you're getting the fans that are going to want to rebuy it anyway, because they're not only is it like a collector's type of thing, but it's also like if I'm missing anything, I would love to be in on it.
Yeah, and so I'm wondering why they didn't keep that with this. I was totally expecting a Last of Us Part 2 director's cut, not remastered. I feel like remastered is such a kind of like, we're now at the point with the whole remastered thing that is such a like, I don't know, lame way to like label. Yeah, a little bit hacky, where it's like, if it's just a remaster, is it really worth it at that point? I don't
Especially
think,
with such few time in between. I mean, 4 or 5 years, that's not that long. What are you remastering?
Yeah.
I bet it looks the same.
I mean, yeah, it's going to look probably pretty similar, especially since, I mean, Last of Us Part 2 already is one of the most gorgeous games that's ever been created.
Right. And we were already talking last week about allocating resources. What are we doing? Are you remastering it? So you're just dusting off a little bit of the, are you just polishing it a little bit? Do we need that? Do we need all of our resources? Because, I mean, you're shutting down your online for this.
Yeah, online.
I mean, not for this directly, but there's got to be some correlation.
But that's what I'm saying is like they're adding new content to this version,
right?
Which is why I'm surprised that they didn't just call it a director's cut. Why call it a remaster? That's not what it is. It's new content. It's new stuff. Like it's not just a remaster. Because yeah, if it was just a remaster from PlayStation 4 to 5, the differences aren't going to be massive. There will be differences for sure. But like I said, it was already one of the best looking games on PlayStation 4. So bringing it to PlayStation 5 isn't going to make a gigantic difference, other than I guess maybe giving you like 60 frames a second. But otherwise, I don't know. It's weird. So Sony's in a weird spot right now. They keep on making weird Sony decisions, where I just don't understand them. But hey, they're the business people, so maybe the whole director's cut thing didn't go over well. So they're like, all right, back to just calling everything a remaster. Yeah,
I guess. And then the last thing for January, I guess we got Tekken 8. I'm not interested in these types of fighting games, but I know there are people out there that are super into Tekken. Tekken is a very popular series. We got Tekken 8 to look forward to in January 26th. So,
yeah, I mean, I wish I could love fighting games, but they're just one of those things where like you got to be in it, man. You got to be in it to love it, and it's
really hard to play those casually.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to be in those games, and I'm just not.
Right.
Maybe one day, but not any day soon. But I'm excited for everybody for Tekken 8 because from the fighting game people I've talked to and I know, sounds like it's going to be fantastic. So good on them. I'm happy for them. It is the fighting game community's renaissance right now, and we're just living through it.
Yep. All right, February's up.
All right, I'm going to start this one out because right there at the beginning is what's going to probably take over my life, which is Persona 3 Reload. I am so stoked for this game. Bringing Persona 3 into kind of the Persona 5 engine and gameplay style and everything, I think is going to be awesome. It's generally said by most of the Persona community that Persona 3 is the best story. So I'm very excited for that because I've only ever played Persona 5. And so I'm excited to get back to the rest of the series. And if they're making this, I imagine they're probably going to make a Persona 4 remake, which I'm also all about. Just give me all the Persona because I absolutely love those games.
Absolutely.
And you brought up before, you were like, do I think that you would be into these games? And I would love one day for you to try out a Persona game. And I'm going to say something that I hate when people say it to me, but I'm going to say it to you. You know, because there's people that will say, oh, it gets good 20 hours in or 30 hours in and stuff. And it's like, bro, like I don't got time to wait around to see if this is going to click for me. But this is one where I would make the exception where I'd be like, I would love to see HP get 20, 30 hours into Persona and tell me his thoughts on it. Even if you ended up hating it, I would just love to know what you ended up thinking.
I have a couple friends, including you, that have swore by Persona 5 and say that they're a very good game. It's a very good game and stuff. So I believe you. I've never seen anything on it. I don't know if I would like it from what I have. I mean, I haven't seen any like straightforward, full 5 minutes of gameplay. I've seen like the trailers or like, the character, the Joker from Smash Bros and stuff like that.
Yep.
I mean, I'm one of those guys. I'm like, oh, Joker? You mean the guy from Smash Bros? Like the guy from Fortnite? That's me. But yeah, I mean, I believe you guys. I'll one of these days, if it's accessible to me or I can borrow it from a friend, I'll dive into Persona 5 or what have you.
Yeah, we'll see how Persona 3 is. If Persona 3 is really good, then maybe dive into Persona 3. But Persona 5, I mean, life-changing game for me. I absolutely love that game. So I'm very excited to finally get to jump into Persona 3 and see what's going on with that.
Yep. So this, considering it's a reload, it is a remake remaster of the. It is a
remake, yes.
Because the numbers are actually sequential. Because when I thought Persona 5, I thought that the game was just called Persona 5. I didn't know there was Persona 1 through 4. Just the way that I had. Okay.
There's Persona 1 through 4. 3 is kind of the start of your modern Persona.
Okay.
1 and 2 are different types of games. They're older types of games, but yeah, 3 is kind of the start of the modern Persona, and then 5 obviously is like kind of, I would say, the big coming out party for Persona, like that really kind of made it mainstream. So this is remaking Persona 3 with all the quality of life and everything from Persona 5, because the gameplay in Persona 3 comparatively to nowadays is pretty rough from my understanding.
Okay. Like what you want to explain, like what do you even do in this kind of game? Like what kind of what are we doing? Like what is the hour to hour looking like?
So it depends a lot. So it's a turn-based action game essentially. So it's very kind of like classic Final Fantasy in a way where you'll run into an enemy and that'll open up a turn-based battle sequence. You know, oh, I use attack, I use shoot, I use magic, whatever, and then they do the same to you. Kind of a back and forth and everything. The gameplay surrounding that though is kind of like a life sim essentially. So you at least in Persona 5, I'm not sure how it'll be in Persona 3, but in Persona 5 you essentially are broken up into days. So the game actually progresses day by day by day, and each day is essentially broken up into 3 phases of the day in which you can go do activities. So one of those activities is, oh, I want to go to Mementos, which is like where you can fight enemies and kind of grind a little bit if you wanted to and kind of work towards a goal. And then there's or you could go to the movie theater and watch a movie, and that will increase one of your stats, and those stats will help you then do other things throughout the game, whether it's like kind of stat checks or even like certain character relationships can only be progressed if you have certain stats. And then that's the other big part, is the relationship aspect. Like the game is built around, you are going to be introduced to a suite of characters, and you are going to want to learn about these characters and kind of go through their story arcs and everything. And so you go on essentially like dates and stuff with the different characters. So you can say, oh, hey, person character, you know, Ryuji, I'm going to go hang out with you. And you guys are going to go do something. You're going to get a little bit of story, a little bit insight into his character. And that's going to, like, you know, rank up your relationship with them, which in turn is going to also give you more combat stuff with Ryuji if he's within your party. So it's kind of this beautiful, like, everything kind of melts together. Like, no matter what you're doing, you're basically just living life as a high school student. And whatever you're doing is increasing your stats, which then is going to help you in the fights. And typically they're split up into like the main progression is dungeons essentially. So there will be like a main villain that's introduced. You go and do essentially their dungeon, and that kind of progresses the story.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, especially Undeathly saying Persona 5 is similar to Pokemon. I especially being the turn-based. I wouldn't say I have an aversion to turn-based anymore because I'm really enjoying like Sea of Stars, but I have to be in that right mood or I'll just turn it off. And so I think I would enjoy this. It looks great.
The other thing I'll bring up with the turn-based in Persona is the Persona to me is like the ones who have figured out turn-based and how to like make it fun and engaging and not just attack. There's like so many mechanics within the turn-based that really makes it almost feel more like an action game. You know, if this enemy is weak to a certain element or a certain type of attack, you use that attack and then you'd be like, oh, cool. So you deal more damage. And then he goes, no. If you use that attack, it then essentially kind of stuns them. You can now do a baton toss, I should say, not toss. You can do a baton toss to one of your other allies, who can then do an attack on them, and you can chain that. And then if you've knocked down all the enemies, you can then do like an all-out attack where it's like a super attack and everything. Like there's so many mechanics and strategy around it beyond just press this skill button and attack, press this attack button and attack.
Right.
That I think even if you're not huge on turn-based games, this is like the pinnacle of turn-based games, I would say.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Persona, man, I'm so excited.
I'm in on that.
That's gonna be pretty much most of my February, even though so many games are coming out in February. Which let's talk about them. So other stuff that's coming out in February, I see Are you interested in Suicide Squad at all?
I was just about to pull that up. I am not a superhero fan, pretty much in the slightest. I do find them interesting to a certain degree. That's for probably another podcast. But this game looks awesome.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And by that I mean I would not pay $70+ for this game.
Sure.
Which is what it's going to be.
Sure.
If I were to sit down and play this game, I would almost guarantee I would have a good time. It looks like a good time. I don't like superheroes in the sense of like the tropiness and the cliches of it, but whenever I see a trope attributed to like, it's hard to explain. It's very, very hard to explain because I'm just not into it. I don't think any of these superheroes are compelling to me. I like their stories. Like I've been friends with Pasta for about 8 years now. And from the day that I met him, he's a huge DC fan. And I have never been, he knows this, I've never been into superheroes, but everything that he tells me from what he reads in the comic books specifically, sometimes the shows can be a little bit more compelling. We've tried to watch The Flash, just couldn't get into it. I think that you have to be more in the sticks to be interested in something like that if you're already not in it, you know? Mm-hmm. But what he tells me about like Batman and what's his name? The other guy, like Deadshot, something like that.
There's Deadeye and Deadshot, I believe.
Either one, whatever. So the point is, whenever he tells me these things about these characters within the comic books, they're much more compelling characters. They're much more fleshed out, and the stories are very interesting. Not that I really would care about playing this for the story, but watching this trailer, because this is a cinematic trailer, and watching this trailer, you're like, damn. This looks fun. Like, it looks good. And some of these, like, I don't even know what the game is about, but it looks like something I could be akin to Spider-Man or et cetera, like those types of games, and throw in a lot more shit to it. I'm in. It looks cool. Give me little boss fights. Give me superpowers out of the wazoo. I mean, look at this Green Lantern stuff. Like, he's pulling shit out of the air. I could be completely butchering that might not be the Green Lantern. That could be the yellow dude, whatever. It looks incredible either way. It looks fun. I'm in. Like, I think that I could have fun playing this game. Would I pay $70 for it? No, but yes, I would have fun playing this game.
So the other thing with this game, the reason why it's been getting so much hate is because it's a live service game.
Oh.
And people have not been very stoked about that, because this is the team Rocksteady who made the Arkham games, which were, obviously single player and everything. And so it's kind of interesting that the follow up to the Arkham games that we get is a live service game. That did it need to be live service? Probably not. But that's interesting. It's always this is why it's good to get out of like the internet echo chamber sometimes. Because everyone hates everything about this game. And
see, so that's my problem with games in general, right? Or not games in general, but media. Everyone hates everything immediately. They don't like, and I used to be that way. It's so toxic to think that way, to just immediately hate something. I don't like superheroes, but I like this. It looks fun, and that's what games are supposed to be, right? So, I mean, and so, I guess I am out of that echo chamber because this looks fun to me.
I've said similar things where I think it looks fun. It's not what I would have wanted from Rocksteady next. But I do still think it looks fairly fun. Kind of similar to you. Will I pay $70 for this? Absolutely not. There is no chance I pay $70 for this. But at some point when it goes on sale or something, I might be down to just run through the story on it. I don't necessarily think I'm going to get into the whole live service aspect, because I just don't care about the franchise that way. I don't care about DC that way. Right. I mean, hell, I'm also shocked that DC decided this is the way they wanted to go, when it's like, did you guys not see what happened with Avengers and how they try to go the whole live service route? Like, it just doesn't work as well as I feel like they think it does. But who knows? Maybe it'll end up being phenomenal and fantastic, and everyone will love it, and it'll be the next Fortnite.
I don't know about that, but
probably not.
Like I said, it looks fun. I have no complaints about what I see, other than the fact that it's really not for me, so I wouldn't spend the money. But if I were, if I hop over to Pasta's house one day and he happens to have bought it and I try it, I might enjoy it. That's all I got to say about it, really.
Yeah,
I saw it at the Game Awards and I was like, this looks great.
The one thing I wish is I do wish it was attached to one of these video game streaming services, PlayStation Plus, Xbox Game Pass, whatever it is.
Okay.
Because I feel like that would make me go, okay, I'll try this out on day one.
That's fair.
But yeah, I can't in good consciousness jump into
maybe eventually.
Maybe
maybe in the next few months, if they realize they're not getting the sales they want, they throw it up on these PS Plus and Game Pass. I don't see that not happening, to be honest. Like, most games will kind of trickle into it and get back out of it just to give you that taste and get out. You know, I mean, so I could see it.
Yep. All right, next up, we got Helldivers 2, which is one that I'm very excited for. Very different from the original Helldivers. Helldivers 1 was like a asymmetric, like, kind of almost like... oh man, why can I not think of another game like that? No, so basically it was like top-down isometric. You just kind of walked around, shot aliens, got some loot, and then extracted out. But now I feel like they've kind of leveled it up into like this AAA thing where, now it's a third-person action game. Similar vibes where you can see here, basically going to these different planets. Yep, I'm gonna go do a mission on that planet, and then you get into your little pods here. Oh man, this is actually so cool. Looking at this
to me just screams ODST, because this is exactly what the ODST does.
Yeah, it's very similar to that concept. But yeah, you drop in, and it's just like a hellscape of like aliens and everything. It was always fun because Team Fire was on, so you would like throw a grenade and accidentally blow up your buddies and stuff like that. I'm super excited for this. I think this is going to be a ton of fun. It has a ton of humor to it as well. And so this is a game that I'm very excited for. I don't know. This is one where I'm like, is this one of Sony's live service games? Because this is being brought to us by Sony.
It probably
wonder if this
is
one of their live service games. And if so, I'm interested in how that ends up looking long term. But this is for sure, if I can get a couple of buddies in to try this out for a little bit, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
My issue with games like this is the concept blows me away. I'm like, man, playing games with your friends, I mean, it checks all the boxes, right? Playing games with your friends, friendly fire adds for some funny comedy moments. You got big bosses. I mean, you're checking all the boxes that HP wants. But at the same time, there's something about the gameplay of these types of games. It's typically these third-person, over the shoulder. We can't like fire where we want. Like, for example, I played this the Aliens game with my friends.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't like it at all. There was not a time where I was like, this is fun. I never enjoyed it. Like, there was not a moment, and I didn't hate it. I just never found myself going, oh my God, that was so cool. And if my game's not doing that for me, I feel like I wasted my money immediately. And I played that game for about 5 hours, and never once did I have a fun time.
So looking at this, what do you think this has to do for HP to go, yes, this is something I want?
I don't know if it's feedback or if it's just the way that these types of games just are, like, innately, like, I haven't really had fun. I'm not going to lie, in a third person, not an action game, because Zelda's third person technically, but not necessarily an action game, but these like shooters, these third person shooters. I mean, Warframe, I could never get into, and I want to. It looks so fun. The Aliens game I couldn't get into, and it looks fun. The Division, it looks fun, but I just couldn't get into all these games. There's something about them that just, they don't feel unique. They all feel the same. They feel a bit either too clunky or too light. There's just something there. Like, I don't know, man. Whenever you go into Destiny and you pop out a sword, you go into that third person mode, it doesn't feel like this. Whenever you play Gears of War is very clunky, but there's something about it that is good. Whereas these types of games, for some reason, there's just something that I don't know what it is. I let me play this for an hour and a half and let me tell you what it is. I'd have to find it, but I don't even think I could put it to words.
Interesting. Yeah, I would definitely be interested in playing this with you and kind of getting your thoughts on it. I feel like I kind of have a general understanding of what you mean, where I think that what a lot of these games miss out on, and I could be totally off base, I feel like a lot of them are very easy. And so they basically kind of expect the fun to come from playing with your friends.
Yeah, I would agree with that a little bit.
Which it does happen a decent amount of times, but I feel like for long-term enjoyment, it also needs to be a challenge that you overcome with your friends.
Right.
And I think that's like what Destiny does really well. With
right.
like
But that needs
to,
exactly. And Destiny has those challenges that abroad. I mean, there's so many and and they actually are a challenge. They're very hard. And so some of these games do feel too easy. So I would agree with that. Also, you had shots fired in the comments.
Super Saiyan Jones, I need the next words out of your mouth to be Exoprimal Game of the Year 2023. Thank you very much. But I get that. Yeah, I that's kind of at least what I can see from these types of games. Like a lot of these co-op games, is I do feel like, especially for people like us that play a ton of games, and so we're pretty good at video games generally.
Yeah.
Not always, but generally we're pretty good at games. And so a lot of these times these games are made, and yeah, by an hour in, we've kind of already cracked the code. We're like, okay, cool, this is how you beat.
That's the best way to put it. Crack the code, because I do feel like whenever I get into a game, at first I'm in this awe and wonder of like, oh, this is how this is unique, and then you're like, oh, I see how this is coded. I can see the internals. I see behind the scenes a little bit. And then it kind of takes, I wouldn't say it takes the fun out of it, but fundamentally how it works. So you know what to expect. And then you can never get the unexpected anymore. And it doesn't feel the same. So I would agree with all your points. I still think that there's something about the gameplay that pulls me away from it. But your 2 points are right there. That's kind of the better way to put it.
I'm hoping that this game ends up avoiding a lot of that stuff, especially if this is going to be a live service game. I hope they understand, like, hey, it's okay if the players kind of get their ass kicked in the first couple times and harder missions down the line, because that's where a lot of the fun's going to come from, is you taking your friends and you overcoming this challenge, instead of just being like, oh, it's going to be fun because you're playing with your friends. It's like, yeah, but that I could do that in almost any game. I don't need your game to facilitate that.
You know what would have you ever played a game called Gunfire Reborn?
Yes.
Extremely fun.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely fun, and each boss has its own mechanics. If they made these types of games more akin to that, I think I might be in it a little bit more, because I feel like you said, it's too easy. I mean, this giant bug monster, first off, pretty generic design, but that's okay. You're allowed to be generic in some cases. I mean, we don't all make up crazy anatomy all the time, and you don't have to have a lore behind a giant bug. But so, okay, this giant bug, is it just a bullet sponge? Do we just shoot at it until it dies? Oh, but it's weak to flames or fire, so we do a flamethrower instead. Is that what this game is? Then if so, it's a little boring. Now, Gunfire, you're dodging things that are coming from the sky. The monster they each have their own unique attacks. Like this is just spitting at him and then walking towards them. I mean, what are we doing other than just kiting it and it being a bullet sponge? You know what I mean? So if we have something, because I mean we saw the same attack from this thing 3 times. Just in this trailer. So if there's things that we can, like, I don't know, if there's mechanics, I guess is what I'm looking for. I know we go back to Destiny, but I think if that's why getting away from Destiny and going more the Gunfire Reborn route, if we just have more utility and more mechanics, I think that it would make these types of games more fun.
If they live up to the original game, I think it will have that, because in the original game you did have, like, you could see them every once in a while, like throwing a grenade and then a beam of lights right there. That's them calling in different munitions, different things that they might need. Like, you don't just have stuff on you. You have to, like, call it in, essentially. And so that did provide some strategic aspects of it, especially since some of the things you could use essentially as, like, bombs to, like, crush enemies. And so that's why, like, I am hopeful for this, because I do think the first game, while smaller in scope, I think was a lot of fun and did a lot of things right with the strategy aspect, and also just making the game really hard. Like, the first one was pretty hard, not on the first few missions, but once you got into, like, the actual missions, I would say it did start to, so you can see right there, like, he's calling in something,
right?
And so I don't know, I do hope that it's I guess I'll go back to my original point of, I just hope it's not easy. I hope that this has a decent amount of challenge, because I do want to be challenged with my friends, and I don't want it to be just like, yep, I'm shooting these small guys. All right, you shoot the big guy.
Yeah.
All right, we did it. Good job,
suffice it to say,
like,
even me saying that I might not be interested, it does look very fun. So yes.
I'm sure this will definitely have an audience. We'll have an audience big enough for what Sony wants from a live service game.
Probably not.
Debatable, but I definitely will be giving this a shot on day one.
Okay.
All right, I've done the last couple. Anything in February you're looking forward to?
Well, I was gonna jump in on that Suicide Squad, so you just kind of mentioned it before I did. But I mean, you already know where. So I'm not a huge. We got the Tomb Raiders. I know a lot of people love Tomb Raider. I'm not a huge fan. I love the character. I love Lara Croft. I love this Indiana Jones female protagonist style. I love that. Don't get me wrong. The games are a bit hand-holdy for me. They've always been. Okay, maybe not Tomb Raider 1. So this is Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. So maybe not those, but the newer ones, if they're doing a full remaster where they re-envision it in the style of the new games, they're going to be a bit hand-holdy. Too hand-holdy for me. Not really my style. So we can move on from that. The other ones, I would be interested in looking more into them, but I have no idea what these Banishers, Ultros, I don't know what any of this is, but I will probably not buy this. If I get it gifted, that'd be great. But I probably won't buy this, but I think it's cute. Mario versus Donkey Kong. They're always bangers. I'm all in on those types of games. Definitely probably won't purchase it, but I watch a lot of content creators play these types of games, so I'm totally fine in that space.
That's what I'll probably end up watching as well. I don't know if, as with a lot of Nintendo properties right now, they're not necessarily for me, but I would definitely be down to watch people knock this out and see some of the cooler moments pop up on social media and stuff.
If I could get this for $30, I think I would buy it.
Yeah, I think that
because it's just fair. A cute little puzzler, and look at it. It looks adorable. I'm all in on these types of games. I just don't think that I can pay $70 for it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and that'd be a pretty tough sell for me. So, but I'm sure it'll do very well for Nintendo, as all Nintendo things do.
Man, and you know what? Looking at it, I might pick it up. I don't know. It looks cute. This is right up my alley. This is something that I play off stream or on stream, and I just have a good time with it. I smile all the way through playing these types of games, so I can't say that I wouldn't, because I love it.
I mean, if you end up playing it, I will definitely watch it, and I will download my opinion from you. I'll be like, yep, that's my opinion on this game is whatever HP says.
It's cute. I can't. It's just so cute. Look at him holding the and Donkey Kong's animations. Okay, we can move on, but I have a soft spot, man. A little young HP would be so proud that he continued to like these kinds of games. So I just love them. All right, we can move on.
Young Fjord is dead inside. He feels nothing from this. You did mention Banishers. I'll just briefly touch on that. That is one that I'm kind of excited for. I'm definitely going to wait for reviews to see if it ends up being any good. It's from Don't Nod. They're the people who did like the Life is Strange games, but this is definitely not a Life is Strange. This is like almost more Witcher-ish. But the story seems interesting. His wife is dead essentially, and he's trying to bring her back. But he's also like a banisher, which is like a supernatural hunter or something. I don't know. The trailers for it have seemed really cool. The voice acting and everything has seemed pretty good. So if the reviews come in and they're at least hanging around a 7, I'll probably pick it up. Maybe not immediately, because I'll probably still be. When does this come out?
February.
Yeah, I'll probably still be playing. Oh, I will 100% still be playing.
Like 11th, I think is what it says.
13th, yeah. So I will definitely still be playing Persona 3 Reload and probably Helldivers at that point. So probably not a day one pickup for me, but I am excited for it. It does look cool. I like the vibes. It'll be neat.
Okay.
Otherwise, this is going to be. I got one more. This is going to be a little bit of a weird one, but Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered. This was a game that I played way when I was younger. This is essentially like a original Wolfenstein clone for Star Wars, and it was a really cool game back in the day. I loved it, and so I'm actually really excited for this remaster and being able to play that classic again. So that'll be very cool.
Okay, I did have 2 more in February that we've talked about it before, and we actually mentioned it last week. So the one would be Skull and Bones. We don't have to talk about it, but I'm just disappointed that it's getting the hate from the testers that it is, because I really do want another pirate game. I don't know if we're overdue or what for it, but I don't even really know what that game is about. But I like the pirate aesthetic, and I'm very saddened to see that it might not do that hot. So we'll see when it comes out if it's worth the purchase or not. Don't have to go too much into detail. And then the other one would be Nightingale. I signed up for the beta many years and eons ago. I'm kind of in on that game as well. So looking forward to that.
Nightingale, remind me, that's going to be like another kind of survival game, right?
Yes. Well, because it's is it co-op? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's one of those like kind of co-op survival-esque games.
Right. But it's along those lines of
yep, gotta chop wood, gotta break rock. Hell yeah, brother.
Dungeon crawl. It just reminds me of something that you would get from like the building looks amazing. It reminds me of something you would get from like Ark Valheim style, but with your friends, unlike something like Subnautica where you can't play with your friends or whatever. So I mean, I do like these kind of games. It seems a little less forward of survival and more gameplay oriented, so maybe we can get something good out of it. I don't know. I didn't really know what I was signing up for. I just know that I saw the trailer years ago and I was like, I'm in. I like it.
The vibes look cool for sure.
I mean, look at the anatomy of these animals. They look so different and so unique. And they don't look out of the world. It looks like it all fits. So
yeah, this does look pretty cool. Out of all the survival games that have ever done a survival, this is one of them, and it looks at least fairly interesting. I could give a hell less about stuff like Ark and everything. I feel like those games just do not do anything for me, but this actually looks like it's got enough other things going for it that I could find myself playing this. Now I just got to find like 3 other friends to play with.
See, I'm a grinder. I'm the opposite. I actually have to avoid playing Ark with the friends, and we have to schedule specific times because it will consume my entire being while we're playing it. So
see, oddly enough, I feel like that died for me with like Minecraft, which I know is like so long ago, but like me and my friends were doing so hard on Minecraft all the time. And so since then, just other survival games just have not really. Valheim's probably the closest that I've gotten to getting back into them. But even then, I only played that for like a week or 2. And then I was like, all right. Yeah, I got what I needed out of this.
I mean, I could see that. I mean, that's kind of how we do it. We go all in for about a month. We don't go do a week. We probably do. I'd say we do about two weeks to a month. And we do. It's either and we do it once a year. We'll do Valheim. We'll do Minecraft. We'll do Ark. We'll do one of those games a year. So like we wouldn't do Minecraft and then be like, oh, I'm done with Minecraft, let's go play Valheim. That would be insanity in my group. So what we typically do is we do one of these games once a year, and we're kind of waiting on Ark 2 to get back into it. So Nightingale might be our little, we're treading into that water a little bit, but aside from Nightingale, if it's not amazing, we'll probably drop it relatively quickly too, and we're waiting on Ark 2. I think Ark 2 is going to be me and my group's kind of big survival game, and we'll probably be on that for about a month, and we'll phase in and out. We typically like to do private servers too. We don't like public servers. So.
Well, hey, if you got a spot in Nightingale, maybe I can give it a try for at least a week or so.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know I ain't getting my friends to play that.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, you can. I mean, feel free anytime to come and hang out in our group. You're always welcome.
And then last one for me, then I guess would actually be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I just saw that at the very bottom.
Of course.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be great. Will I play it at launch, or will I keep telling myself and lying to myself that I'm gonna replay the whole series? We'll find out in 2 months. Can I catch up on all the Final Fantasy games?
I also just realized that's on the leap year day. I didn't realize it was a leap year. Yeah. Then Brothers, of course, but that's a remake, so we don't have to get onto that too. But looks great.
Yeah, Brothers looks great.
And March, we can move on to March. You already know the one that I'm super all in on, so I'll let you go into what you're in, because I'm actually in on probably everything this month. For not everything, but most of it. So you can start if you'd like.
So I'm actually in on a lot of this stuff as well. I will say the biggest ones that I'm in on are Dragon's Dogma 2.
Looks fantastic.
I'm really excited for. And then Rise of Ronin. I ended up looking up more. We talked about this during the Game Awards one, where I was like, I don't know, it's not really doing much for me. I did look up more about it, and I'm like, okay, I'm into it. Will I be into it for $70? We'll see. But I think I'm into it enough. It seems like it's going to be a good enough time that I will I will play it. Will I beat it and everything? Who knows? But I looked up more information about it, and it seems like it's probably going to be more up my alley than I initially gave it credit for. Plus, it's Team Ninja. I mean, come on, Team Ninja's great.
Okay. I have it playing on screen right now. I don't think that I would be into it. Again, it's one of those games that I would play if I could just play it. But the fact that I'm going to have to buy it for $70, it's just not usually in my wheelhouse, especially with all the other games coming out.
Yeah, I think the real seller on this for me is going to have to be this story has to hit. It has to be a really cool story for this to really hit for me, because otherwise it's just going to be another action game, and I just don't know if I really need another action game that's not going to give me at least a little something else. But like I said, from what I looked up, it does seem like they are actually kind of going for a little bit more of that story vibe, and they are trying to hit on some themes and stuff. So that's why I'm slowly coming around on it, where I'm like, I might be into this enough.
Okay.
And then, yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2, we can talk about that right now since that's on both of our lists.
Yep. I will put that up as well.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2. I actually, a buddy of mine has been replaying Dragon's Dogma 1, and he convinced me to re-download it to give it a try, because I never really gave Dragon's Dogma 1 the full college try. I think I put maybe an hour or two into it, which for this game is very, very little, especially since it teaches you basically nothing about the game. So I am excited to see how that ends up playing out with me on the first one. But worst case, I know for sure that I'm going to be into this one. I'm very excited to see how they've Capcom's on such a roll right now. Capcom can do no wrong. Capcom is my god for as far as I'm concerned right now.
Look, I'm telling you, you take a giant dragon and even title your game Dragon. I'm in, bro. I have a dragon tattoo. I'm obsessed with I'm the boy with the dragon tattoo. I love everything dragons. If you got dragons in your game, chances are I'm all in. So, and I mean, this looks like the Monster Hunter action dragon fighting game. Look at him climb on his neck. It looks amazing.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, Dragon's Dogma was one of those games where it was so ahead of its time, and so many people said that, and now that this one's coming out, I'm now you know what? Those people were probably right. Dragon's Dogma was probably ahead of its time.
So the thing is, I played the demo of the first Dragon's Dogma on Xbox 360 or what have you, and I was super into it. I just didn't have the funds to purchase it, and then I kind of just fell off. I forgot all about it. But it had always kind of been that and Dragon Age and stuff like that, and those types of games have kind of always been on my radar, but I never really just kind of got into them because I've kind of fell off of single player games. But now that I'm kind of back in, I'm back in. I don't know if I'll spend the money because we got a lot of games coming out this early in the year, but I mean, look at this.
Hey, just a PSA to everybody real quick. I think Dragon's Dogma 1 on Steam right now is $2 or something like that. $2 or $3.
Might have to pick it up.
Just heads up. PSA. Yeah, I mean, it looks fantastic. Like I said, Capcom is just so in their bag right now. It's Capcom's world and we're just living in it. So I'm super excited to see how this ends up turning out. I can't imagine this being any worse than a 9. Just based off of what they're showing, unless this thing plays absolute garbage, there's no way this isn't at least a 9.
Right. Yeah, I'm in. It looks great. This just gives me that fantasy world vibe that I've always wanted out of a game. So.
And then other than that, the only other thing I can think of is Unicorn Overload. I am excited for the follow up from the Inscription dev. Oh wait, no, Unicorn Overload is another one. Yeah, Unicorn Overload is that weird Switch tactics title. Okay, never mind. I mean, I do think that looks cool, but I also just have no clue what the hell that game actually is. So never mind. Those are the two I'm excited for in March.
Okay, well, don't just dismiss me like that, because we have one of the greatest games that I'm super looking forward to. This is technically Peach's first debut game, and I could not be more in on it. So the other one, I can't remember what it was called, Super Peach It was basically just another side-scrolling platformer with Peach. This is her own game, her own actual IP of like, this is not Mario. This is Peach. And so I am super into seeing what they do with this. And from what we've seen so far, which is just this trailer that's being shown here, it's not much, but it looks like it's going to be this type of like ever evolving type of game. So you're going to get like an RPG style. You're going to get some cute puzzler. You're going to get a fighting game. You're going to get multitudes of things because it takes place in this like this theater type world. So Peach can be and do anything. And I love the message. I love that. Like we're in this, I hate to get political with it, but it's like a man's world where this woman can be anything. And I know that sounds cheesy, but I love this, dude. I'm in it. Like she's transforming into anything. Yeah. She's playing a role. She can be whatever she wants. Look at this costume. Oh my God. I'm in.
Damn, yeah. Honestly, yeah. I did kind of dismiss this before, but looking at this again, it does look pretty dope, honestly. I hope that gameplay wise it actually follows up on it. But I mean, it looks really cool. And then and if anything, being in like the whole theater aspect harkens back to like those old Super Mario Brothers games.
Mario Bros. 3 isn't
cool.
yeah.
And that's super cool to me as well. So honestly, I'm in. Will I buy it for $70? Stay tuned, but I'm in. Look,
if not, again, live vicariously through me because I'm getting it day one and I'm playing it on stream. So
there you go. Maybe I'll do it that way then.
Yeah. And I heard also Zelda's getting her own game within the near future too. So stay tuned for that.
She already has her own game, Legend of Zelda. Duh.
Self-titled. Sorry, as the main protagonist, like the playable protagonist. But yeah, so I'm in on this. We don't have to talk about it much more, but look, there's a platformer section, there's the fighting section, so it's a multitude of games in one. Puzzler. I'm in.
Yeah, it's super cool. I honestly might end up purchasing it too, especially. I mean, Rise of Ronin comes out the same day, so I don't know, man. Rise of Ronin. Actually, Dragon's Dogma comes out the same day too. Holy shit!
Banger month.
March 22nd is a fucking day, guys.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. And I mean, I see the South Park game is on here too. I've not really been turned off by a South Park game, so South Park game coming out is probably a good game. I don't even know what it is, but it's probably a good game.
I never played the other two, but they always got good reviews. So, I mean.
Yeah, cool. I did play the other two, and I did like them. The turn-based RPG, so if you're not into that, and you're not into that. But, I do like it. So
you know me, Fjord, the
I know.
well-known turn-based RPG hater.
Yes. Well, considering you play the Final Fantasy series all the way through.
I know, I hate them. I hate them so much.
You're good at them.
No, they're a lot of fun. I love them.
So moving on to April, looks like it's a little shallow in April.
Yeah, this is when we're getting to the point where like a lot of games just have not announced their release dates yet. But as far as what's in April, that tells a Kinsera Zao game that we saw at Game Awards.
Yes, this is the Critical Role partnered one, correct? Yes, correct. Actually, I'm gonna pull that one up because that game looked phenomenal. I forgot that's what it was called.
Yeah,
man,
so
this one
very
looks great
for that one. I will definitely be playing this one day one. I'm extremely excited for it. I love seeing the art style looks fantastic. The gameplay looked amazing. Like I'm all in on this one. This is an easy buy for me right off the bat.
Let me pull this up real quick because I agree with you. This is from Critical Role as well, and you know me, I'm a million in on Crit Role. I love Crit Role. I mean, the message behind it, you mentioned this during the Game Awards, very beautiful message, kind of a nod to his father. Yeah, I mean, the art style looks great. The gameplay looks great. This is definitely right up my alley, and it's right from the people that I love and I respect a lot. So I know that they will, that it's in good hands. So this is definitely my kind of game.
They're starting to really come out with some fantastic EA originals, like awesome titles that I would not have expected from them. So props to them for finding these titles.
Absolutely. And look at this part of this trailer, man. Like this is the type of stuff that I'm in. So you right here where he jumps up, he's got this ice ability. So he's climbed up this wall with this ice ability, and right below him is a flowing river, and he blasts it with ice. and then he can walk on it. I mean, that is the type of stuff I'm all in on. Like your ever changing environments, you control the environment and you make the platform. Like I'm just, God, I'm so in.
I'm super excited for this one. This is definitely day one buy for me.
100%.
And really, it's the only game, like looking at this, it's the only game that I'm really all that excited for that month. So, I mean, if it stays that way, I doubt it'll stay that way. More stuff will get announced for April, but
for
as
sure,
of right now, this is my April for sure.
100%. I mean, the boss fights look incredible. Platforming looks incredible. Again, it's from people that I trust and love.
Look at that boss. That looks so cool. Man, I love this.
I'm
It's
in.
fantastic. Side scrollers, man, coming out in a big way.
Next
year. Yeah. I'm in for it. I'm in for the side scroller renaissance. Let's go.
Dude, yes. Absolutely same. Tales of Kinzera Zhao, April 23rd. Be on the lookout for that.
Then there's nothing in May. Or did you have anything else in April?
Because I would have missed that one because I forgot that that's what that was called. No, nothing else that I can see. They are mentioning Destiny because it's kind of like it's in this April, May, June area. We don't know exactly when.
That's true. Yeah,
they did say beyond June, so
yeah, in April they did say they're coming out with that Into the Light micro whatever the hell it's going to be. I mean, yeah, for sure I'll be there. You know, my Destiny playtime will definitely take a dip from February to March. Because of all the games coming out. But yeah, by April, May-ish, I'll be right back in it, getting ready for that day one. And then, yeah, that's actually the next one on our list anyways, is June, Destiny 2, The Final Shape. Will it actually hit that date?
Maybe not. But we're, again, us two, all in.
Yeah, all in. I mean, they could tell me it's coming out in 2025, and I'd still be like, I'm still all in. Like, I'm still going to be there.
Right.
Yeah, man, I really hope they pull it out. I mean, we've talked Destiny 2 Final Shape to death on this podcast, but man, I'm really hopeful because everybody, even the people that got fired, were like, Final Shape guys, like, it's gonna be lit.
And that says something because some of them are still talking about being fired 4 months later. Anyway, yeah.
And then past that, August, we've got Black Myth Wukong. I do not think this date happens. I feel like this is way too early to announce a date to where it's probably going to end up slipping.
Yeah, I think that this game is going for perfection. So I think that they're going to nail out all these bugs before or whatever's going on with it. So I would agree with you that this is not the final date. Surprisingly, this type of Dark Souls combat type game, it looks great. I'm not in it, but it looks great. I'm probably going to watch somebody play it. I don't think I'm going to buy it. I don't like this kind of combat, but I do want to watch someone play this game because I love the Monkey King Goes West. I love the story. I'm in on the fantasy elements and the fantasy monsters that they showcased so far.
All the bosses so far they've shown have looked excellent.
Absolutely.
I'm super in on this game. I you know, like I said, I doubt it hits that date, but I'm super into it if it does.
I'd love to watch you play it if you're gonna stream it or something. That'd be fun.
Honestly, I might. You know, by that time I'll be back into streaming for sure. In fact, keep an eye out. Maybe I start streaming again next week. I don't know. We'll find out.
Love that.
But yeah, that might be one that I end up streaming. You know, will I be done with all the Final Fantasy games by August?
No. You were supposed to be done by June this year.
June of last year. God, I'm the worst.
We have too many projects going on.
I know. But I really do want to get back to, because my original plan was solid, you know. My original plan was solid where it's like, as long as I put in a couple hours every week, like I'm good,
You'll
guys.
Get there, and then it just gets away from you and you're just slowly trying to rope it back in.
Yep.
Come back, Final Fantasy IV.
Oh, man. I'm just going to have to restart Final Fantasy IV. Maybe that's what we do next week. We'll find out. Stay tuned. Anyways, September, Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2. Did you ever play the first Space Marine?
No. So I love the worlds of these Warhammer games, the future and fantasy ones. But and I have a friend, one of my best friends who's in chat sometimes, Brogo. He loves these style of games. I'm pretty sure these are the types of games that he likes, but he plays like the Total War games. But
Yeah.
I'm fine if I'm not mistaken. They're very similar, right?
Between Total War and this, not really. So Space Marine 2 is going to be like a third-person action shooter, essentially.
Oh, okay.
The first one was, I remember playing the first one way back in, I want to say it was like 2009, 2010 or something. And let me tell you, the first one's pretty damn good. It's pretty good.
I think that this franchise, this IP, can make banger games. But I played the Total War series. Maybe I would like this one better, but I played the Total War series for all of an hour. If you want to find out a way to make HP feel stupid, it's put me in a game like that. I don't get it.
Total War's got a steep learning curve.
I don't get it. So maybe I'd be into this one being a different format. I don't know.
Do they have hold on, actually I want to check. Do they have Space Marine on PC? If they do, I mean, I would definitely say if it ever goes on sale for cheap, they do, yeah. If it ever goes on sale for cheap, I would definitely recommend it. I thought it was a fantastic time. It's not like this like Omega amazing story or anything like that, but it's a pretty serviceable story with some awesome combat, and it's just like Warhammer's super good at leading into that like ultra ridiculousness of what Warhammer is.
Right.
And so I think that it seems like they're going to nail that again, but also with a more serious tone. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how this ends up turning out. I'm sure it won't be anything less than at least good. And so I think that's totally fine. I don't expect a Warhammer game to change my life or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
And that's everything that has a date currently. Everything else is just a bunch of undated stuff, which it is a pretty sizable list. But let's take a minute and kind of scrub down it, see if there's anything that pops out right off the bat.
I know one right off the bat. That's all for me.
Okay.
Well,
what's up?
I don't know if I'll like the game itself. Hades 2, Jones mentioned. Yeah, Hades 2.
Of course. Hades 2.
I'm not super in on the roguelikes, but I respect where the space that Hades has taken up. I mean, Jesus, Hades is a fucking phenomenon. And Hades 2 will be nothing less, I'm sure. I don't know if I'll play this. So first off, the first thing I want to say is Arc 2. I'm all in. A bunch of my friends are all in. That's the game that we're going to be playing. The next one that I see that catches my eye, just because I love Maddie and I love the developers at Extremely OK Games, Earthblade.
Yeah, Earthblade,
I don't think it's going to be anything like Celeste. It's going to be a Metroidvania style. I trust them to make a game that I might love. I'm not in on the Metroidvania, as you know, but I think that Maddie and the team can make something special, just like they did with Celeste. I like platforming better. We'll see how Earthblade turns out, but I'll probably buy it just to support the team. I love Extremely OK. I do.
Yeah. Yeah, and if there was anybody that I imagine would be able to pull you into a type of game that you aren't the biggest fan of, it's probably going to be them. So that makes sense.
What about you?
I'm very excited starting at the top of the list. I'm very excited for Angerfoot. Played the demo of that on Steam Next Fest, and that was a ton of fun. It's basically, have you ever played Hotline Miami?
No.
Oh, so it's a Hotline Miami
I know
style
what it
game.
is.
Okay, cool. So it's a Hotline Miami style game, but it's a first-person game instead. Super ridiculous. You've got like a kick ability. That's why you're Angry Foot. And you're just like kicking people through walls and stuff. It is like a Devolver Digital joint to the extreme. It's gonna be a ton of fun. Like there's one part where you're like kicking a tank and kicking a helicopter and stuff. It was a lot of fun. So excited for that. Another Crab's Treasure, which is coming from the Going Under team. I'm very excited for that game. They are awesome. I think their projects have been phenomenal. And another Crab's Treasure being kind of this little bit more silly take on the Souls-like genre makes me very excited. And I think their whole mechanic that they're doing with you being a hermit crab and being able to like put random stuff as your shell and everything, and that gives you different stats. I'm like, that sounds really neat. I think that it's a very smart game that I'm very excited for.
Okay.
Let's see what else.
I do have a couple more.
Okay, hit me with yours.
I'm just gonna rapid fire through these. Multiverses. I loved the game. I think that they were going in a little bit of a direction I didn't like, but god damn it if I didn't love that game. I like platform fighters. I love Smash Bros. And I think Multiverses, I hate to say it, I think they do it what I like better than Smash Bros. Does. I love Smash Bros. But because Nintendo is so bad with their online system, it doesn't ever feel good. I love the IP better for Smash Bros, but Multiverses,
Sure.
damn, like it was fun, but they're doing something. They started to do something and move in a direction that I didn't really like, and I didn't really respect them trying to shut down the servers after I spent $100 on the game. There was something. I'm losing interest in the company a little bit. I'm losing faith in the company, but if it comes back out and it comes back out hot, pull me back in. And then of course,
yeah, that was the weird thing where they were like, "Oh, the beta's ending." It's like,
I've spent $100 on your beta.
beta? What? Didn't you guys release the game? And they're like, "Oh no, that was just the beta."
Yeah, so
I definitely think there was something like
there's
fishy
something.
there where,
Yeah, I agree.
They realized that like the player base was like falling off, and they had to like pull it back or something to work on it. And I'm like, I don't know.
Thing is
it's a little weird.
The thing is your player base is falling off on a not only a fighter but a platform fighter too. They're gonna fall off. It's just how it is. I mean, it's gonna be the new hotness because Ludwig and all these hot streamers are probably playing it for a minute. But then the moment that they stop playing it, everyone loses interest because it's not sustainable. I mean, these like we talked about with Tekken. You got to be competitive to play these kinds of games, which I am in a platform fighter more so than I am a combo fighter. So I'm all in. But if you just like the IP and you're not really good at these kind of games, you're gonna get stomped and you're not gonna want to play anymore. So it's just the nature of the beast. And that's how I am in Mortal Kombat. I love the IP, but the moment I get stomped online, I just don't want to play anymore because I don't have the time to spend 40 hours grinding to get better at combos. I got other games to play.
And
so I get it.
I think that's why they pulled it back because they've realized like we've got to figure out something else that is going to keep the casual player around, and not just the hardcore people, because the hardcore people are never going to be enough to float that type of game.
Yeah, like Jones mentioned, DKO dropped the ball too. There was a game called DKO that we played, and we absolutely loved it. And then they started charging where they shouldn't have, and I think that they would have gotten more money if they didn't charge for the game, and then also charge for the champions and stuff. So, just a note to developers: know what your product is.
Know what your product is and know what it's worth, and just charge that up front. Just be upfront with your costs. Don't try to later on nickel and dime your way to what you think your product is worth. Just charge it up front.
The other thing that I want to glaze over, because I have not fully finished this, and I know I usually have a sour taste in my mouth for remakes, but I feel like this has been about 30 years long enough. The Paper Mario remake, I'm all in. I have not played the 1,000-Year Door all the way through, and I would love to do so, because I am obsessed with the original Paper Mario, and I've played a little bit of the 1,000-Year Door, and I've watched it all the way through, so I'm all in on that one as well.
Nice. Yeah, I've got a couple here. Beastie Ball is one that I'm very excited for. I actually backed the Kickstarter on that. That looks like a ton of fun.
It looks very fun.
Super excited for that game. Next, the next one that I was excited for. Where to go? Where is it? I'm losing. Flintlock, that's what it is. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. This is one we saw a trailer for like 2 or 3 years ago, I think. It's been a while. It was supposed to come out last year, but the original trailer, I thought looked fantastic, and I really liked the world they were building up with it. It's a team from New Zealand. I'm really hoping this ends up landing. It looks really, really good. I think it'll probably still end, even if it ends up landing, it'll probably be one of those like kind of like niche hits. But I'm very excited for it. Frostpunk 2 comes out next year. I'm also excited for that. I do like Frostpunk, the first one, and so that'll be great. And then I think the only other major one I could pull out of here is Hyperlight Breaker. I am like,
you got me in on that one. I'm in on it.
Excited for.
I'm in on that one.
If that game lives up to the hype and the potential, woo, man, it's gonna be real good. And it's not on here, but I have a feeling that it probably comes out next year. Light No Fire that we saw at the Game Awards, I feel like that comes out next year. That was the No Man's Sky joint. the fantasy one.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that comes out next year. They're like already like paying for advertising and stuff online, and you don't really start doing that until you're like pretty close to launch, like 6 months.
So it might just not be on this list, but it definitely probably will be. I can see that.
I think
I'm again. I'm all. I know we talked about it at the Game Awards, but I'm all in on that one as well. I do have a couple more that I might be all in on, actually, now that I'm looking through this list, or a couple honorable mentions, I should say, because I mean, we got our WoW. I mean, WoW is massive, so we got another WoW expansion coming out.
That's right. Yep.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game coming out. I'm probably in on that. That could be the Ronin one. I'm not sure, but it says Mutant Mayhem game, but it's untitled, so I don't know. Probably not. But I mean, I like my turtle games. We got a couple Star Wars games. Did we need a Killer Clowns from Outer Space game? I don't know why we needed that. It's like 30 years too late for the movie, but sure, whatever. But here's one that I'm actually fully looking forward to. That's not a remake, and it's on this list. And I didn't realize it was coming out next year, or at all, because I feel like I never hear from it. I hear from it for 1 year, and then I don't hear from it again for another year. But Pal World, I'm in on that, man. I'm so in on that. It is basically Pokemon, but get crazy with it. And the thing is it does something. It might not be good. If they do it right, I'm all in. But if not, then whatever. But it's just another failed Pokemon-esque clone. But I do like that it doesn't take itself too seriously, but I do wish it would take itself a little bit more seriously, because that's what I don't like about Pokemon but it's doing something that Pokemon doesn't do, and it doesn't, like, Pokemon does not do the thing that it should do, where if you have a Squirtle and you have a garden, let my Squirtle use water gun on my garden. It makes so much sense. Let me use the Pokemon as tools, not just cut, or HM Flash or TM Flash and just open up. Like, no, man. But Pal World, at least it shows it in the trailers. I could be completely wrong in what they actually do, but in the trailer, you actually utilize these pals, I guess, whatever they want to call them. You utilize the monsters, and I'm in. I think it's a little silly that there's like guns and like straight up like murderous violence with the cute art style. It's a little too silly in that aspect for me, but man, like, I think Pokemon needs a competitor where it makes it kind of think on its toes. I don't think that we're going to get Pokemon with guns, but I think we might see Pokemon like more adventurous stuff out of Pokemon come in the future because of games like this.
I mean, yeah, if anything, I hope that it shakes up kind of the same way I really like a lot of what Cassette Beast did, and I really hope that it kind of shakes up what the Pokemon company ends up doing. Will it? Probably not. But hopefully, we can hope. They
make their millions. They don't need it, but hopefully.
But you did bring up Star Wars Outlaws. I am very excited for it. I completely forgot Star Wars Hunters was still a thing. I thought that got canceled. But yeah, Star Wars Outlaws. If that comes out next year, that'll be really good. Ubisoft on the come up with that one, I think. And yeah, there's a few more on here that I'm interested in, but not enough to really say much about them. Yeah, the rest of these, I feel like I still like Tales of the Shire. It's like going to be a Hobbit story from Lord of the Rings. That's literally all we know about it. But I mean, it's Lord of the Rings, so I'm into it. But there's not much to say about it.
Right.
But so far, looking like next year is going to shape up to be a pretty damn good year. If a lot of these titles actually end up hitting and being good, I mean, we're in a pretty good spot from video games.
We might get another 2023 repeat of just the year of the bangers.
Man, that would be insane. I don't know if I can take another one of those years. My backlog is just, it's too big. There's too much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we even have, little things that we are hoping are good, but we're not going to get our hopes up too high because I'm not looking forward to it if it's not going to be good. But you got, The Lost Wild, you got The First Descendant. I mean, these are games that I'm looking forward to as well, if they're good. If they're not good, then
they're good. And that's the thing. Like, First Descendant is one where I'm like, if it's good, cool. I swear to God, that game is a different game every single time I see it. Like, Absolutely. Every trailer for it looks like a completely different game. And I
agree.
I'm so confused about what is happening with that game.
Yep.
And then I imagine, obviously we still got a lot of stuff that still needs to get announced for next year.
Mm-hmm.
But I am hoping that we do get at least like one major want that I want for 2024. I hope we at least get like a beta of Marathon. I know it got pushed to 2025, but I would love if they did a
I would just want to see at least something where we can see some gameplay, like full gameplay, a good hour, a good 30 minutes of a gameplay showcase, nonetheless, something like that.
Yeah, honestly, I think for sure we have to get that next year. Like towards the end of the year, probably. Whenever they typically do their Bungie showcase in like September. I feel like that's probably a good time to show it, as long as it's coming out early 2025. But yeah, a player beta test for that would be awesome. I would be very happy for that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, 2024 looking really good.
Looking pretty good for games. I mean, especially the ones that actually have dates. I mean, I'm pretty much buying at least one game a month all the way until April.
Yep.
At least, if not more. I mean, some of these might have hooked me in, man.
So yeah. I want everybody to know that I just purchased Yakuza Like a Dragon. Because I gotta know, man. I gotta see if all the hype around this franchise is warranted. It was under $10, you know.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, under $10. I'm willing to sink that in to see what's up. Hopefully it's good. But I still gotta play Zelda before then. Yes, I know. Before you bring it up, I will play Zelda.
I'm not saying anything.
I know, but you're mentally transmitting messages to me about.
Nope, it's not Zelda. Even there. I've given up.
Not whatever.
I'm gonna play it. I just want to hear your thoughts, honest thoughts too.
Even if what if I came out at the end of it and was like, HP, it's a 1 out of 5, bro. Like I don't know what to tell you.
That's impossible, and I would know that you're just lying and you hate the world.
I don't know, man. 1 out of 5. I can't.
You know what? You can have your own opinion. I'm an adult and I can take it. I'll just be over here.
No, I think once again, I think the lowest I could rate it is a 2 out of 5. I think that's the absolute lowest I could end up being on it. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'll at least be a 3 out of 5.
I think you'll be sitting at 3 out of 5.
I think so too.
I think if I talk to you after your experience, I think you could bump it to a 4 out of 5 because I would open your eyes to things that I didn't even notice when I was playing it through, and I've watched people play it too, and I get more excited the more I watch people. So, yeah,
you know what? After we hang up here, I'm gonna go start playing it right now. Not even gonna think about it. Just gonna go grab my Switch. Unless my Switch does its stupid. Okay, so another quick rant. My stupid Switch keeps on doing this thing where like. It is on the charging dock right now. It has not moved from the charging dock. The past 2 times I've tried to go play it, it's like, oh, I'm dead. I'm like, bro, you've been on the charging dock for like a month. And then I have to take it off the charging dock and put it back on the charging dock. And then it charges up and I can play it. But by that point,
I had a similar thing, but it wasn't about the charge. It was about the connectivity. And I think it was due to my capture card, but I had to unplug everything and then it would read on the monitor. So all right,
I'll plug it into something else then.
I mean, I just unplugged it and plugged it back in. Just the old tried and true. It was just so weird but it wasn't charging. It wasn't the charging issue though. It was just a feedback through.
Because I was gonna play some Ring Fit Adventure like 2 weeks ago. So I was like, you know what? I feel like working out right now. Why not? You know? And then it's like, oh nah, bro. I'm sorry. I'm dead. I'm like, you've literally lived on your charging dock for months. How are you dead?
What a sweet little baby, just being silent.
I hate him. I hate that console, you know.
But I wish I could say the same thing because I want to go play Sea of Stars so bad, but I do want to share it with stream because it is a very good game. And so I unfortunately this week, considering HP is off, I will not be playing Sea of Stars, but I really do want to. So once we get back into the swing of things, the following week, Damage Check will still be continuing next week. We still are doing Damage Check next week, but then that following week after that Tuesday, I will be back with Sea of Stars, and hopefully you've either beaten it by then or we can talk more about it because I'm in it. It's fun.
Maybe. Because I was planning on beating it next week, but if you're going to take the week off of it, maybe I'll take the week off it. I'll spend that time playing like Zelda or some other game that I need to beat. And then I'll get back into it when you get back into it.
Yep. And then this week I can play Asgards and report back on Saturday. And
That's right.
Yeah. I think that's all we got.
That's
Banger year coming up.
Banger year, and the next like 3 weeks is just going to be me trying to play as much of my backlog as possible, which is probably going to be painful for me in some instances, but we're going to get through it.
And just to let you guys,
Exoprimal, brother, I want to play some Exoprimal.
There you go. And just to let you guys know before we cut it off, Fjord and I and Sirens, if you guys don't already know, most of you should, we are creating a video game. We do have a company that we started last year. Lots of negative things and other things kind of stood in our way, some team changes and et cetera, et cetera. So lots of different things happening, kind of put us in the back burner, moves for Fjord and everything. So this year is the year of our CCC game. I don't know if we've released the title yet, so we'll just leave it at CCC for now. And but next year is the year of the damage check HP and Fjord game. If not releasing, we're going to be knocking it out, and we'll be giving you guys more updates as that goes on. So
100%. Yeah, I mean, one thing I could say about 2024, it's the year of Fjord and HP, man. We're going to knock it out of the park. There's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to be doing.
Absolutely.
And I hope that you guys all enjoy it. I'm very excited for this year.
I can't wait to share. That's like my favorite thing is just sharing this stuff with people. So can't wait.
Yeah, that's all I got. Hear about it soon enough. Yep. All right. And that's all I got.
That's our damage check. All right, guys, make sure to come in and hang out with us next week where we will be, hopefully we have a little bit more news, but yeah, we'll be back next week with damage check, your regularly scheduled programming at 4 p.m. EST, as always, next Saturday.
All right. Love you guys. Happy New Year.
See ya. Yeah, have a good one. Have a good New Year. We'll see you guys next year, actually, then.
Yeah, see you next year.